We have another impeccable guest for you this week. A well-kent face on the Rolling Stones fan circuit. He started young and is still going strong half a century later. My next guest even turns down presidents to see the Rolling Stones. Now that's the kind of story and guest we want to have on this show. So what are we waiting for? It is Neil Ebden joining us from lovely Riga in Latvia. Neil, hello and welcome to the Room 1009 podcast. How are things with you?
Bob, thanks for having me. Yeah, all is good here in Latvia, but we're waiting for summer. We had summer yesterday and the day before, and that was it.
That's terrible. The rest of Europe seems to be sweltering and you've got nothing. Maybe you like it that way, I don't know.
No. My wife fled from Latvia. She went to Germany to enjoy the summer and left me.
Well, I do sympathise because I spent the first almost 30 years of my life living in Scotland. Typical summer weather at this time of the year might be about 16, 17 degrees. Right now in London, we're at least 10 above that.
Yeah, but in Latvia, we usually have 4 seasons, but not this year.
Not this year, okay. Oh dear. Well, that sounds like a conversation for another podcast, what's going wrong with the weather.
Yes.
Now, speaking about Latvia, right? So you're phoning in from there. I always had it in my mind that you were from Germany, because I've been bumping into you at various shows I can remember going all the way back to 99. Maybe we met before that, but I remember specifically 99. We were in a bar in Philly for St. Patrick's Day on the No Security tour. I'm sure you were there. Please tell me I'm not imagining things.
No, I was, yeah.
Yeah, you were. Good. And I always thought you were from Germany, but it sounds like you have dual nationality.
I was born in Germany to a Latvian mother. My mother was a war refugee, and I grew up in Germany. But I'm half back in Latvia since Latvia has regained its independence, and so I'm still spending most of the time in Germany because I'm still working. But I spend as much time here in Latvia as I can.
Well, best of luck with that, and shaming me for not getting to know you better. Neil, you've made a big effort to do a fancy background. Is this a temporary thing or a permanent display?
Is today's studio decoration. I have a lot of wall space here in the apartment in Riga with very high ceilings. Maybe there's going to be a small exhibition someday because nobody else will do that in Riga.
There is a little bit of recent news which has come out in the last few days. I mean, we've been expecting this for a little while. A new Rolling Stones song just dropped. It was featured on the album, a tribute to the king of Zydeco. So I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. Mick, Keith and Ronnie are on this one. It also features Russ Broussard on drums and Steve Riley on accordion. Have you had a chance to listen to it?
Yeah, I listened to it once or twice. Well, yeah, I mean, nowadays we can be happy about anything the Stones release, right?
Yeah.
Zydeco, yeah, why not? I think Mick's brother also is into Zydeco and Cajun and stuff, and he's played that kind of music. And, well, the Stones were in New Orleans and having this accordion player play with them, and yeah, why not? Fun for them to do, I guess.
I said in the intro that you started young as a Stones fan. So why don't you tell us in your own words, when did you realise you had become a Rolling Stones fan? There was a moment in time when it happened. Can you talk us through that, please?
Well, I started listening to music pretty early in my life because I had all the guys around me, and the Stones I first saw in 1976 in Münster in Germany, and I was 13 years old. I had seen other bands before that, even I'd seen like Deep Purple and Susie Quattro being 11 years old. But then the Stones came to the same venue, and I remember when the tickets went on sale, my mother took my brother and me to school on that day in her Beetle, and I sent her to the ticket office, which was a small record store selling classical music, actually. But I knew it was a ticket store, and I sent her there and asked her to buy tickets for my brother and me.
You were already bossing your mother around at 13.
Well, I hope I was kind to her, but I knew what I had to do. So, well, and she
A
did
man
that,
on a
yes.
mission.
And yeah, that was the first show, 1976, and that was, I think, the last tour where they did in some cities 2 shows on one day.
Yeah.
And well, we of course had to go to the early show, to the breakfast show, but that was okay. And I think the concert started with Honky Tonk Woman, but I cannot tell you all about the concert. I was 13; it was the first time. What I do remember, is, of course, was Mick. Was the steel cable coming down from the ceiling, and he was putting one foot into a loop, and it was attached then to some safety belt, and then he was swinging above the front part of the audience. That is things you remember. And I had a camera with me, my mother's small box camera with a roll film 6x6, and I had that at my first blurry photos from my first concert. Yeah,
Oh, great. Do you
and
still have them?
I have them, yes. And it was a for today's standards a small venue. It was it was, although it was the largest concert venue in Münster, it was small. It had a capacity of only 6,000, and we were on the floor, I mean, a third back or maybe half back, and we could still see well.
And there were no big screens in those days, were there?
No, no, not at all. No.
So, 76 when you first saw them, but why did you want to go and see them? Had you become a fan already by that point? What was the trigger for wanting to go and see them?
I don't see. I cannot remember exactly, but I knew I had to go. And I knew the tickets were going to be selling fast, and they hadn't announced the second show. I think, and they were watching the ticket sales, and that is why I sent my mother to the ticket store on the first day. Yes, I knew I had to see them.
A life-changing moment, and well done to your mother. That's a very similar story to me. When I was about 11, 12, living in Aberdeen, when the Stones came to my hometown, I knew I had to go and see them. Sadly, I didn't go. Right, I was just probably too young, or I still to this day remember thinking how much I would be prepared to spend to go and see them. At that age, which was an extortionate amount of money. But you went, well done. I've also checked the set list, and there were tracks on there like Nothing from Nothing and Outer Space. They were being played. Did you know all the songs at that time? Were you that big a fan, or was it just, I need to go and see the Stones?
Well, they played quite a few songs from the Black and Blue album that had just been released like a week
Yeah.
before or 10 days before. And I didn't know all those songs, although I remember Hey Negrita. I knew the classical the classic songs, of course.
We're never going to see that on a set list again, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's kind of brown sugarish, isn't it? And yeah, Billy Preston was there,
Yeah.
and those are his songs you were mentioning. And probably I didn't really know what was going on when he came to the middle of the stage. Mick was off stage, I think, for Nothing from Nothing, and then returned for Outer Space. And that is when he also flew over the audience. First experience, I have only bits and pieces of memories, yeah, of that show. I think Charlie and Ollie Brown had changed, but Ollie Brown was the percussionist behind Charlie. And for the Billy Preston song, I think they changed seats.
Well, you mentioned Black and Blue. Love You Live was what came out as a live album from that tour. Fantastic album. But to my knowledge, there is nothing from nothing or outer space on an official release. I mean, it's on plenty bootlegs. And we're expecting a black and blue deluxe edition, perhaps this year. That's the rumor, certainly. Wouldn't it be nice if we got a live show from that tour that featured some of those tracks?
I don't know. Those are, yeah, probably. If it's a bonus disc or what, yes, why not? Those are Billy Preston songs, yeah, as much as I know.
So it would be worthy of a release on the deluxe edition for us to hear that, because it featured the Stones. Okay, maybe not Mick Jagger, but everyone else was there and present and playing. If not, I'm going to have to delve in and find a bootleg of it, because I don't think I've ever listened to it.
Well, I think you can find on YouTube
Oh,
from
yeah.
the same tour, the Paris, one of the Paris shows.
So that moment, dispatching your mother in her Volkswagen Beetle to go to the ticket office and buy tickets for you, started a lifelong obsession. I'm sure you didn't know at the time what was about to happen for the next 50 years of your life, but you've become a serious Rolling Stones fan. I know you've seen them extensively. Do you keep track of how many times you see them?
Yes, I tried to make a list once, but there is one mistake or two mistakes, plus minus one. When I get to venues where I've seen them several times, like when they had these really long tours, and was I in this gig in the Berlin Olympic Stadium, and was I at Wembley at that time or not? Yeah, those are the places I had gone often. Altogether, I know that it's more than 165 shows.
That's a good number.
Well, it has been
It's
49 years.
100 more than me.
In 49 years, it's not so much. It's like
I wouldn't be too harsh on yourself. It's still a big number.
yeah. I mean, I always tell other people who ask me, if you're a football fan, yeah, you have to go see your team every second Saturday and go to away games for every second Saturday, and you do that all year and all your life, yeah, and that is more.
So I'm guessing 1976 in Munster in Germany. How long did you wait before you first went to see them in a different country?
Well, then we had to wait for 4 years before they came back. Yeah, they were in 81. They were in the USA. I didn't go there, but 82 they came to Europe, and I saw them 3 times during the 82 tour. That was in Munich, in Cologne, and I went to the last show of the tour in Lille.
When did you start going to see them like many, many times on a tour? When did it really snowball and become, 3's not enough, I want to do 10 or...
Yeah. Well, after 82, there was, of course, a long gap until 89 in the US or 1990 in Europe. So it's 8 years. Then in 1990, I didn't see them a lot because my wife was pregnant with our first son. And to see them really a lot was, when did that start? With the Bridges to Babylon tour, 97, 98, 99, including the No Security tour. And then, I don't know, the more expensive it became, the more often I went. I mean,
It's true, isn't it?
until last year, yeah. I mean, how can that be? I don't know.
No, that is such a good point. You're absolutely right. The more expensive it became, the more we found a way to still be able to go. Do you think we were just also addicted by that point? It could have been even more expensive. We would have still found a way to make it possible. They knew how to press our buttons, put it like that.
I mean, we also spent a lot of money doing this. We maybe could have bought a couple of houses here in East Latvia in the countryside or so.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't get a
I've
summer to enjoy them.
I've never counted how much was spent for this hobby. It's a hobby in the end, isn't it? Other people play golf,
Over the years, almost 50 years now of seeing them, and you went to see them last year, I take it.
Yes.
There must be 1 or 2 or 3 shows that stand out to you as the top of the tree, the best of them all? Are there any? Which ones spring to mind? If I was to ask you, what was the best show you ever saw?
Well, I think it was Roseland Ballroom in New York. The concept of playing in stadiums, arenas, and in clubs or theaters was a good idea. And I was lucky to see 6 of those small shows, and that is the best you can have. And not only because you are closer to the band, but the set list is different, right? They pick out some songs that they have never played before, or that they have rarely played, or they haven't played for decades. And that was also the case in Roseland. My friends in Germany say the mother of all Rolling Stones concerts was the Circus Krone show in Munich, yeah, which was the next year, which was similar, of course. Played some of the songs also from Roseland, but for me it was Roseland, yeah. And Circus Krone comes
But
close.
what was it about Roseland? Because you must have seen what Astoria, Olympia, Circus Krona, Stockholm that had a circus show as well.
Yeah.
You did all of those.
Yeah. Well, the first one in that tour was the Tower Theatre outside of Philadelphia in Upper Darby, where I had a first row seat in the balcony, which was also good view. Also, good memories about that show. That the way how Mick Jagger performed the Otis Redding song. That's how strong my love is. That was just unbelievable. There is no video of it, although there were friends and family on the balcony filming with those small video cameras. Yeah, so they have it. Maybe he did that also later on in the Olympia in Paris and other places. But the first time I heard that in Roseland was just magic. And it wasn't so much that she smiled sweetly also. I think they did it for the first and only time ever. And that wasn't so much about that song. We went out after that to the record store around the corner, somewhere 42nd Street, to buy the 40 Leaks. I think at midnight we could buy it and have pictures taken and whatever. Good times in New York. And I saw all 3 concerts from the trilogy, yeah, in Giant Stadium and also in Madison Square Garden.
How many trilogies did you get to see? Was it 6?
No, I skipped a few. I skipped some stadium shows. I didn't see the Stockholm stadium show. And in Paris, you wouldn't believe, I went to the arena show in Bercy, then went home to work for 2 days, skipped the stadium show, and then came back to Paris for the Olympia show. Because the stadium shows at that time or in that context are not so important as the smaller shows, right?
Of course.
At least for me. I don't know.
If you're going to clear space in your calendar, the stadium shows bye bye.
Yeah.
Because there's a ranking. It's stadium, arena, theatre, or maybe it's the other way around, but you know what I mean. Do you think there will be more arena shows?
If they are fit enough to continue, I could imagine that they continue in arenas in America, but then again, I don't know. The political situation is so difficult in America that I don't know if there is going to be a tour over there.
Well, looking back at your 165 shows, one of those shows involved saying no to a president. You're talking about a political situation. I don't think it was the president of America. Let's clear this up, right? What is the story? Because everybody wants to know. You turned down the president to see the Stones. Good on you.
Well, that's
Where,
a little
when?
joke, yes. Well, in 2012, when the Stones remembered that they had an anniversary to celebrate, they were in Paris rehearsing and they were planning to do a few shows only. And then there were these rumors about a secret warm-up gig. And At that time, I was the chairperson of the Latvian Association in Germany, which is a diaspora organization. And the Latvian president was on a state visit in Germany to meet German President Gauck and Chancellor Angela Merkel and so. And in the evening, there was a planned event in the Latvian embassy in Berlin to meet active Latvians from Latvian organizations. So everything was booked, hotel was booked, flight was bought. My little suitcase was packed with my suit. And the day before, and that was on the same day as the Stones show. And the day before, my friend Peter and I were sitting in front of my computer in my office and following the news on the internet fan platforms. And Peter decided, because he doesn't fly very often, he decided to go to Paris in his Volkswagen bus the day before. And I said, okay, and I'll stay here in my office and watch the news on the internet and see who finds out what's going on and who finds out first. And then the next morning, Peter was in Paris, and I called him, and he had found out before me that the show was on. And there is a tradition with the Stones, when they have these kind of secret shows, that it is announced in a local radio station where the tickets are going to be sold. And when I talked to Peter on the phone, he already was on his way to the, what was it, Virgin Megastore or what, on Champs-Élysées, and he was in the traffic jam. And then we talked to each other for like 5 or 10 minutes later when he was in the queue already. At that time, we still didn't know, would he be able to buy 2 tickets or would he only get 1 ticket and his wristband?
By the way, the pressure being in a traffic jam, that sounds very typically French, by the way. Yeah, not what you want, because probably the whole of Paris was descending on, was it Virgin Records, did you say?
I think so, yeah. And when he got into the queue, he was about the 80th person, he reckoned. And well, as I said, didn't know if he would be able to buy 1 or 2 tickets. So then again, some time passed and he was out of the shop again and he had managed to buy 2 tickets. And then I talked to him again, and then he was in disbelief. He was asking me, Neil, are you really coming? Are you coming to Paris now? And I said, of course I'm coming. So took the suit out of my suitcase, repacked it a little. My wife, Sammy, took me to the airport. While we were going there, I canceled the event with the president, bought the ticket for the flight to Paris and got on to the next flight and took the train to where the venue was. That was Peter's car. I could put my stuff in his car and we were there. And the cost of the ticket, 15 euros.
Oh. And the capacity of the venue was 600 or something like that.
Yes, I think it was the smallest Stone show capacity-wise that I've been to, yeah. And it was great. I mean, they had been away for 5 years. And when they hit the stage, just the core band without background singers, without the brass section, it was really, really good, really powerful. And yeah, 50 years later, they proved that they can still do it.
What is the protocol for turning down the president of Latvia?
I mean, I wasn't.
Do you have all these forms you have to fill out?
I wasn't the only guest invited, but I was representing the oldest the diaspora organization in Germany. So,
is this show going to get you into trouble back home in Latvia, Neil, or has too much time passed? Have they forgiven you now? Did you have to tell them why you were not going?
No. It's okay.
Well, you were showing your loyalties there to the Rolling Stones. And it was worth it. You got a great show. I'm just checking. There were 12 songs played at that show. Do you remember any of them? Do you remember the opener, for starters? Let's go with that.
'66 it was.
Yes, it was. We also had It's Only Rock and Roll, Shattered. They
Shattered.
always
Yeah.
play Shattered at these small club gigs, don't they?
Yeah, didn't they start in the Shepherd's Bush Empire in '99 with Shattered?
They did.
I
And I
think they
think
did,
they
yes.
started the Racket with Shattered as
Yeah.
well. Well, they played it at the Racket. I don't know if they started it. After Shattered, When the Whip Comes Down, we don't hear that very often. Champagne and Reefer,
Yeah.
Doom and Gloom, because Doom and Gloom, of course, was one of the new songs by then.
Yeah.
Miss You, Tumbling Dice, Start Me Up, Midnight Rambler, Jumping Jack Flash, and Brown Sugar. And that show lasted for about an hour. And they hadn't played publicly for 5 years, as you said. We were all wondering, is there going to be another tour? Of course there was another tour. My God, was there not? They've almost played continuously since then, but it must have been so good to have that close-up experience after all those years.
Yeah, I mean, they've had large gaps between tours before that, but still we didn't know. I mean, after the long Bigger Bang tour that ended in London with these 3 shows at the O2, then there was a 5-year gap and we didn't know if they would return or not. I mean, yeah, we're glad they did. And we've seen them many times thereafter. And after that, they had toured almost every year. Hadn't there been COVID, I think they had toured every year.
Yeah, COVID was I think it's the only year they didn't, well, this year as well. Last 2023, just that one show at the Racket, because they were doing the album instead. Last year they did 20 shows. This year, nothing yet. Nothing yet. They might surprise us with something late in the year, but I think if they do anything, it's probably just going to be 1 or 2 shows. I don't know. We'll see. Moving on to one feature of this show, I ask all my guests to select 3 songs. And they always tell me how difficult it is. So, how easy or difficult was it for you to select 3 songs?
Well, probably as difficult as for others. I mean, it could be 3 other songs now, or I mean, there are so many, but I chose 3 songs I like, and you have them, and gonna listen to them now, right?
We're going to listen to the first one in a minute. I am not being judgmental at all here. They're 3 fantastic songs. I'm just going to, if I may say, we've reached a stage in the show. Let's put it this way. We've reached a stage where you're the first guest where all 3 of your songs have already been selected by other guests before you. But that's okay because they're all great songs and we're going to get more of this as Room 1009 progresses. So you're the first, which is a good thing, right?
Well, I don't know if it's a good thing. It just happened.
It's definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's definitely not a bad thing.
it just I hadn't listened to all the other episodes of your show, but I will do in the future.
That'd be great. They're long, so you're going to need to set aside some time. Maybe with all this terrible weather you're getting in Latvia, you can curl up in front of the fire in the middle of summer and watch 1 or 2.
Probably, yes. Good idea.
Yeah, but no, as I keep saying, it's not really about the 3 songs you pick. It's about the stories you want to tell, because that's what's unique about this show. Everyone has different experiences. And the songs are really just there to help push the show along a little bit. So let's do the first of those songs now, shall we? It is going to be Jumping Jack Flash. Why did you select this song? And what does it mean to you?
Well, I think it's one of the signature songs. Although I have heard it so many times, but because they almost always play it, I still like it a lot. I like also the fact that Keith still likes to perform it very much. You can see that on stage, how he is in ecstasy almost, and he's kicking holes into the air, and yeah, really does enjoy to play those riffs. And I also like the idea Keith that it is like Satisfaction being played backwards or something, yeah, which I found funny, but yeah, this is a version, yeah.
It's an unusual version because of that intro. We had lots of yeah, yeah, yeah shouted out. I don't think I've ever heard a live version of Jumping Jack Flash like that myself.
But I noticed that the song has become it has slowed down. They play it a little slower than they used to, compared to all of the live recordings, like on Flashpoint or on Love You Live, and compared to the last one on Live at the Racket, where it is slower, but that is okay. And it changed pretty early from the original recording when it was recorded. It was as much as I know, it was played in open E tuning, and Keith usually plays like open G tunings now for the guitar players, and it's played in open G, and it is also a little different, yeah, but he plays it.
This song, as I said, has been chosen by a couple of other guests before, and I made a mess in the first two shows giving my views on this song, so probably now would be a perfect opportunity for me to try and, make amends and finally clear up the mess I made. So, what I said originally on Glenn Schneider's show, I referred to Jumping Jack Flash as an orphan song. And the reason for that is because although the single came out in 1968, I wrongly thought that it didn't appear on an album until 1971. But then, by the second time the song was selected on the Phil Nola show, my lovely viewers had put me in my place and corrected me to say that, in fact, the song did appear on a 1969 album, which was Through the Past Darkly, Big Hits Volume 2. But then I went and put my foot in it again and pontificated about, well, if this is... where was Volume 1? I guess I was kind of half joking about it. But in fact, Volume 1, I think Hendrik corrected me on this one, was called Big Hits. Big Hits, High Tide and Green Grass, I think, was Volume 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just made such a mess of explaining Jumping Jack Flash, and I've probably done it again. But I still stand by the same view, which is this came out after their Satanic Majesties album. And personally, I'm not a big fan of that album. I thought it was a bit of a wrong turn. There's some interesting songs on there, one or two that I liked. And in fact, some of our previous guests do have a soft spot for that album. So Alwyn Welch, for example, he selected Citadel. And it was nice to listen to that. But I do think it was an odd album for the Stones. Anyway, Jumping Jack Flash came out after it. And to me, that was their way of saying, haha, we fooled you, we're back.
Yeah, it was something completely different, yeah.
And they got back on track, and then what followed, you could argue, was it the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Pure brilliance, magic. So, yeah, they had a bit of a moment, a wobble. Then Jumping Jack Flash was their comeback kid song.
Yeah, good point.
Do you have a favorite version of Jumping Jack Flash over the years? You've said that it's played quite slowly now.
It's maybe the next version I hear live. I don't know.
Take any version. Well, that's interesting. You should say that, because I think Glenn on his show, he said he would happily do a full concert of 20 Jumping Jack Flash songs and never get bored. Would you buy a ticket for that show?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Glenn, you
I'll
might
go
you
buy a
might
beer after the second one.
Glenn might be delighted to know that he'll be him and Gail will be on the rail for that show. No one else will be turning up. But I usually do a data sort of visualization part of the show. We're not going to do it because, quite simply, Jumping Jack Flash is at the top of the tree. It is the most played live song by the Rolling Stones. However, I will quiz you. Do you think it's been played more as an intro, like song one, or in the encore?
In the encore.
Yeah. Easy one. I count. My data's reasonably accurate. 210 times played as an introduction, but 406 times in the encore. So, Neil, I looked up my database for shows in Latvia. Couldn't find any. What's going on?
I think there's no buying power in Latvia. There's no market. The closest they came here was they came to Tallinn in Estonia, which is the neighboring country. Tallinn is about 300 kilometers from Riga. That was during the Bridges to Babylon tour in 1998 in August. And I think there were news that the border guards counted like 3,000 people crossing the border to go to Tallinn, 3,000 Latvians going to Tallinn to see the Rolling Stones. And although it was a very large venue, it was the Song Festival grounds, there were only like 27 or 29,000 people there. It was interesting for us. I went there with my wife. I think we went the day before, and the gates were said to be opened at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we didn't know it was, I think, the second large show in Tallinn after the Soviet times. Yeah, I think Michael Jackson had been there before. Yeah, and now the Stones. And they said they would open the gates at 2, and then what time should we go and queue? And so we went there at noon, and there was nobody there except for us and
What?
and the Japanese couple.
I know who you mean.
So when the gates opened finally, we didn't have to run. Yeah, we just walked slowly to first row, found our spot at the catwalk, and that was it. That is the cool Estonian concert experience. But later during the show, there were some concert hooligans, as I call them, trying to move forward and to move to the first row. It was quite a fight. I don't know what nationality or what kind of people they were, but it was tough for a while.
Okay, so let me ask this question. What's the Stones vibe in Latvia? I'm guessing it's not going to be that big, and therefore maybe by extension it's not, or certainly wasn't that big in Estonia either.
Yeah, it is not that big. When I talk to people here, I ask them, why were the Beatles bigger than the Stones here? I don't know, but I think it is that way. Yeah, that people had listened more and more to the Beatles than to the Stones.
Gusting, isn't it?
The Stones didn't come here. I mean, these countries are small. Latvia has less than 2 million people. Estonia has less than 2 million. And there was some Estonian businessman who put money on the table in 98 and got them to Tallinn.
So there's no Stones bar you can go to in Riga. There's no small group of Stones friends you have there.
Well, I have a few people I can talk to about the Stones. There is a Latvian music journalist who had followed parts of my travels and my Stone stories on Facebook or elsewhere. And yeah, he had a good idea and made an 8-page piece about my Rolling Stones life and my travels. It was published in a Latvian magazine. That was a nice move of him. Yeah, class.
That was a chance to start a movement, but it didn't happen. The Latvian Rolling Stones fan club still has only one member. Neil, I keep looking at this Licks poster behind you, and It makes me think of something. There was that triple format, stadiums, arenas, theatres. So let me ask you a question. If you had a choice now, as a Rolling Stones fan, here's your choice. You can go and see 100 more stadium shows, or 10 arena shows, or 1 theatre show. What would you pick? And that's it. It's 1, 10, or 100. Small, medium, or large?
Well, yeah, difficult, 1 to 100, but I would always go for the small show, for the theater show.
So you would sacrifice as many as, 99 other concerts if you could just go and see 1 more theatre show?
Probably, yes.
Wow. Okay. It would save you a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
But look, if there ever is a show in Latvia, I'm going to go. Particularly if that queuing situation is the same as it was in Tallinn. That sounds like a very reasonable experience to me.
Yeah, let's go together then.
I'll be able to have a picnic at the front and everything. It sounds very, very calm. But you're in the travel business, right? Or at least you used to be in the travel business. So that must have been of enormous benefit to help you get around the world to go and see the Stones.
Well, I had 2 jobs. One was the travel business. We had a small travel agency. We were sending German tourists to the Baltic states, to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. The other job was I have a part-time job with Lufthansa, which I still have, and that is the job that helped me travel a little bit. But if to travel cheap means to fly on a standby basis when there is space available. So if the flight is full, you cannot go. And if you have to get somewhere really, and you don't have the time for another day to wait for another day, then it is of course complicated. Yes. But altogether, of course, it has helped. Far away tours we have done, like in Latin America. I was traveling 8 weeks, were 15 flights altogether. Not all of them were discounted. Same in Australia. And still, you have to pay for the hotels, you have to pay for the tickets and everything else, the T-shirts, the posters.
When was the last time you bought a T-shirt?
Last year.
Okay, so you're still buying T-shirts and merchandise.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have the Las Vegas T-shirt. I have the Santa Clara poster, and I don't buy every T-shirt. I don't buy every poster, but so I do collect this and that, but not systematically.
There's one story. So we've talked about the president's story, which is really cool. He turned down the president, but there's another story that you've told me about offline, which I really want to hear about. When Mick Jagger spoke about you in an interview in Brazil. But before we do that, let's play a second tune. So have a think about that one. The second tune is Time Waits for No One. It's a wonderful song. I enjoyed speaking about this with Sandy Stern just a couple of shows ago. So really interested to find out more from you and what you think about it. But Neil, tell us, why did you choose this song and why is it so important to you?
Well, it's just a beautiful piece of music and dominated by Mick Taylor's beautiful playing. And there was a time when I was a teenager, we listened to that quite a lot. And yeah, we just did, I don't know, before we went out, warming up with it, having a beer, talking funny things maybe, and was spinning a lot. Talking about Mick Taylor, well,
Well, we talked about this Mick Taylor situation before on the Sandy Stern show, and I asked the question, was this the song that broke Mick Taylor? Because he had this fantastic, the centerpiece of this song is all Mick Taylor, and it was extended 2 minutes plus of him doing a solo. But he never got a songwriting credit for it. And he was promised it, apparently, allegedly. I don't know, wasn't there. But... So the story goes, maybe this was the moment that he finally had enough. I'm sure there were other things going on. It wasn't over one song, but it feels like he got a bit of a rough deal over this song.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, he never said so, and he has probably given slightly different answers in interviews why he left the songs. Mostly he said he wanted to do something else, but there are probably other reasons. Songwriting is the song credit thing is probably one of the reasons. But yeah, I should have asked him when he guessed it. When he guessed it in 2013 or 2014, yeah.
Well, we got a short version of the video, which means we've not had the benefit of listening to that extended Mick Taylor solo, which, so firstly, the Stones cheated him, and then I think I've just gone and cheated him as well by not giving him the airtime there. So apologies, fans, if you were hoping to hear that, the longer version of Time Waits for No One. But you know where to go find it. That would be a nice one to get live. What do you think the chances are?
0.
Yeah. Because what? They wouldn't get Mick Taylor back to play it? Ronnie could do that part, don't you think?
Well, in his way, in a different way.
Okay. Let's go back to that story from Brazil. Mick Jagger spoke about you in an interview in Brazil.
Well, he mentioned me, didn't speak about me, but it was, I think he did only one TV interview during the Latin America tour in 2016. And the funny thing was, the interviewer was his ex, Luciana, the mother of Mick's second youngest son. They were talking about this and that. And then like 10 minutes into the interview, you can find it on YouTube, by the way. Luciana was asking Mick if they were talking about lights, and does Mick see anything in the audience? Does he see his audience? And Mick said, yeah, he does see people up front, and he does see people coming with flags. And then there's this guy from Latvia. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, and there's only one guy from Latvia. That is.
Are you sure about that? Is it definitely you?
Absolutely. 100%.
Well, the Latvian scarf is another story you can tell, isn't it? Because this was something that used to be around your neck for 100 of your 165 shows or so. And then one day it disappeared.
Yeah, well, I was holding it up every now and then just to show them that I'm back. Yeah, here's this guy from Latvia. Yeah, and then in Shanghai, in China, in 2014, we were in first row as so often, and during the Missio was being played, and then suddenly a member of the crew, Tony Russell, came up to me and took the scarf, and he said he was going to give it to Keith.
He just took it.
No,
He
he
didn't
didn't.
ask.
No, he asked me if I was
Okay.
from Latvia, and and then he said he wants it. He's going to give it to Keith, and I said yes, fine. And he gave me three guitar picks.
Played picks.
Yes, yes, used picks, and I thought, okay, maybe the scarf is going to be dangling from Keith's belt at some future show, as he usually has some kind of scarf or thing. And then it was fine with me. And then a few days later, the next show was in Singapore in a ballroom with a very low stage, and we could see the shoes. It was stage was about this high only, and then suddenly but the standing area was at the sides. It was very strange. The layout was very strange in the ballroom. The seats in front of the stage and the standing was kind of at the sides. So I didn't see where the scarf was at first until somebody pointed that out to me. And it was placed on top of one of Keith's monitor speakers, the speaker that is facing the audience, that was on the bottom of the Charlie's drum raiser, and it was spread out there for everyone to see in the audience, Latvia. And that was a very fine move
It's
by
a
Keith,
way of
wasn't it?
communication. It was a
Yeah.
message
Well, he was honoring the country and the only
that
fan.
they've never been to.
Yeah. And so, well, at the end of the show, it kind of vibrated off, fell off. And then I think Pierre or somebody put it on one of the Fender Tweed speakers and it was there. But it hung down, but you could still read that it's the Latvia scarf. Yeah.
And it disappeared after that. You never saw it again.
I never saw it again. No, it's in his in Keith's archive, I hope. So I had to get another one, a replacement scarf for my future shows.
Okay.
The
So,
second one,
okay. So you're still holding up a scarf.
well, sometimes I forget it here, but I still have one. Yes. The
Okay.
second one,
So he's back.
yeah. Well, they say hello sometimes, yeah. Like Ronnie, Keith, and Mick say hello. And I lost the second one on the battlefield of Havana, as I call it.
Oh, you went to Cuba.
Yes. And now I have a third one. Yeah, replacement one.
Okay. You've got to tell us about Cuba. How did you get a ticket to that show? Because that was, you were talking about the Paris show earlier, which was touch and go, very last minute. Cuba was similar. It was only really confirmed a day or two before the actual show when everything got the green light.
Yeah, ticket-wise, it was not a problem because it was a free show. I'll tell you in a minute. But well, we kind of knew it was planned, it was happening, and when we got to South America, at our first stop already in Santiago in Chile, I went to the Cuban embassy to get one of these tourist cards you need for $15 or how much it costs. And we kind of knew it was being planned. And when the tour progressed, we kind of also knew about the date, more or less, when it would be happening. And I booked accommodation in Havana for 5 nights because there was a gap. My wife didn't come to Havana. She went home. Wait, we went to Lima, then Bogota. And we skipped the Mexico shows because we spent time at the Caribbean coast in Colombia. And then we went via Panama. I went to Havana and my wife went home. So what was I going to say? Right. Obama.
Hmm. He had something to do with this, didn't he?
Obama had decided to do a state visit to
Yeah.
Cuba, the first American president since I don't know how many decades. And so the show was moved to a different date. And that meant for me that I didn't have a accommodation for 3 nights. And Havana was full and full of all the hotels were booked, TV crews from the US and from elsewhere. And but I found a hotel room in the end, and all was good. But the Havana show was still a highlight of the whole tour. Uh, they had found a place where to do it. It was kind of a sports field where you had several football or other or baseball fields. They had taken off some things that are in the way. There was a metal fence around the area where they had taken parts out of the fence to make kind of gates for people to get in. I think there were 7 gates in the end. And we went there a day before the show to check what the venue is like and where to queue in the next morning, and how to run and where to run. That was the whole operation. And and there was a time set when the gates were supposed to open, and we were at the gate that was kind of closest to what we call Ronnie's side, and we knew we had to run across the field and get around to the front of stage area or jump over that fence. And then 5 minutes before the gates were supposed to open, we heard noise from another gate to our right. Noise and chaotic running, and people had just crushed the gate and started running across the field. So we did the same. There's nothing else we could do. And there were some Cuban officials in uniforms. They were, of course, surprised. They didn't know what to do. And when I got to the front of stage area, one of the Cuban uniform guys was he had a piece of fence in his hand and was trying to close it and pushed it against me. And I had to squeeze out to the side. I almost lost my shoe. But in the end, found a good spot at the end of the catwalk and had a super view to the stage, and also a good photo spot it was. Uh, and what else? Havana. I mean, it's a socialist country, the Caribbean version of the socialism. We were wondering where the toilets are the day before already. There were 3 toilets, festival toilets, these plastic ones, on one side, and 2 toilets on the other side. So 5 toilets you didn't know how many people to expect. The press had mentioned numbers before, days and weeks before the concert, that maybe 1 million people would come, or maybe 1.5 million, which didn't happen, of course, then afterwards. But we're still expecting a lot of people, and you
And there
have
were 5 toilets. 5.
and when I
That
got
sounds
to,
like my experience in St. Petersburg.
yeah,
There weren't many of those either.
but there was no, you couldn't buy anything on that field. Yeah, there was no drinks sold or
Right.
nothing to eat, and T-shirts and stuff. And so if you don't drink beer and it's 30 degrees Celsius and you have water and a little bit
Mm.
of personal festival food, you might survive
Hmm.
without using a toilet, and I did. And guy next to me from Austria, he wasn't feeling well, and medics had to come, and they took him with him to the tent or somewhere. But was a surprise that he returned. Usually these kind of people don't return, right? And who was queuing there in the morning? It was not so many Cubans. It was all kinds of fans from all around the world, from other Latin America countries. There were Canadians. There were many Europeans who had come early, who knew they had to queue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many Cubans were not so much interested. You know, they were. I had like a bar I went to every day around the corner where I had my accommodation, and I was asking one of the waitresses I'd seen often if she would go to the concert, and she said, she doesn't know. It's her only day off. She doesn't think she's going to go to a free concert. So
Did the locals know the music of the Rolling Stones?
I guess that many did, and many did not. Yeah,
But it was a big deal for Cuba, that concert.
absolutely, yes. It was a big
Yeah.
deal. It made so much news all around the world, and also for me, it was a highlight of the tour some way. The whole 8 days spent in Havana and the whole atmosphere, and Obama coming and changing the schedule and so, and it was really an experience.
Yeah, I've seen the movie, which was a great show.
Yeah,
But
I'm in it for one
I have to go
second
and
or
watch
two
it again.
at the very beginning.
When all of this ends, and we look back over 65 years, 70 years, however many years it's going to be when it all finishes, I'm sure that concert's going to be one of those ones in the final analysis that will be, one of those special ones they did. Ronnie was just on stage with Rod Stewart. He did Stay With Me at Glastonbury. Did you see it?
Yes, I had a look. Yeah, and on some Facebook page. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Stay With Me. Yeah.
It's odd seeing an 80-year-old front man on stage, isn't it, when it's not Mick Jagger? We can be critical, but what did you make of Rod Stewart's performance?
I think he was looking good.
He did a few costume changes. He was looking good.
No, I didn't see the whole concert. No, I just saw the one song with Ronnie. I don't know how many costume changes he did. Yeah.
So the reason I mention that is we're big Rolling Stones fans, but sometimes Mick and Keith and Ronnie and even Charlie used to do it. They have their own side projects sometimes. Are you a fan of any of the solo work that they do?
Well, I followed it, yes, and I think mostly I like the solo work of Keith. Talk is cheap, probably. Mix albums, but Primitive Cool when that came out. Yeah, I didn't even buy it. I have it now somewhere on vinyl because vinyl is back. But no,
Let's Work. I remember that song from that album.
no, I don't need that. And yeah, I have Ronnie albums and even some of Charlie's jazz stuff and the collaboration with Jim Keltner. And I've been to shows of most. I've seen a few Ronnie shows. I've seen Charlie with his last
The Tentet.
jazzy project. No, the ABCD of
That one, okay.
Boogie Woogie thing. And yeah, but mostly I've seen Ronnie live in London. All of the shows. Shepherd's Bush Empire, at the Drury Lane Theatre, 2 shows at the Ambassadors Theatre. And then Ronnie was a guest at a Ben Waters show in the Stamford Bridge Club there under the bridge. That was nice also.
Sticking with this theme, we're going to play your third song in a moment, but so far, only one Keith song has been selected by my guests. If I was to ask you, or future guests, you must pick a Keith song as your 3, what Keith song would you have chosen?
I like the faster ones more than the slower ones of him. So it would have been probably Before They Make Me Run or Little TNA. The slower ones, he plays them live. Even I have the feeling that he plays them live even slower than they are on the albums. And sometimes during the song, he became slower and slower. And like when Charlie was still there, Charlie followed Keith. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't work for me. But well, then there are a few kind of reggae songs that Keith tried that are okay. You don't have to mean it. Yeah.
Well, Neil, Room 1009 wouldn't be Room 1009 without a third song. So we're going to play your third one now, which is Paint It Black. Why did you choose this song, and what does it mean to you?
Why did I choose it? Yeah, because it works very well. It still works very well live all around the world. It works. Yeah, although it hasn't been played as often as Jumping Jack Flash or so. They play it in, I don't know, Latin America. People know it, and I have the feeling Mick still likes to sing it a lot. The intro part has changed, of course, over the time and has been simplified, but it was okay. And what I like a lot when Charlie comes in, drumming after the intro, the Wembley Whammer.
The Wembley Whammer, indeed, yes.
That is.
Can you believe this song is coming up for its 60th birthday in 2026, next year? How is that even possible? But we're playing a version from the Rolling Stones' 50th birthday, because you mentioned that they had that special anniversary coming up earlier in the show. So this is from the Grr live shows over 2012 to 2013. Not quite sure which show this comes from. It might be from America. I don't know.
If this is from the DVD, I was at that show, yeah, in New Jersey, yeah?
Yeah, probably.
I look inside myself, we see my heart is black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black.
I mean, the sitar was such a big part of this song when it first came out, wasn't it? Brian Jones trying out something new then. He was very keen to experiment with different instruments. But the song has survived without the sitar for a long time.
It has, yeah. Although Ronnie, as you can see in this video, he has a guitar called sitar. It is a guitar, of course, a six-string guitar, but it sounds a little bit like a sitar.
It does have a sound, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Brian used to experiment in many instruments, and this was the hippie times and psychedelic times, and so they made this song.
Paint It, Black. What's your view on the comma? We've seen the comma appear.
I've seen it, yeah. It usually shows without the comma. But with the comma is kind of stronger, yeah. I mean, painted. Then it's like a pause of painted black. I don't think it. I don't know if it's meant to be there or if it was a mistake, or you know.
Yeah, the meaning has got lost over time. One thing that I found out about this song, researching it, the last time it was played, which really amazed me, it wasn't played live for 20 years. So it was played again in '89, but I think prior to that, it hadn't been. Let me just double check that. It didn't appear in the 80s until Steel Wheels, and in the 70s, I think.
In the 70s, it wasn't played, yes. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't played at all in the 70s, and only appeared again in '89. But then, not just that, Voodoo Lounge, it didn't get played on that either. So it's been one of those that gets cut a lot, but I think it's in there now. It's pretty much a regular. I know they played 20 shows last year. It featured on all of those shows. So I teased a question earlier. Don't know if you spotted it. We know Time Waits for No One has never been played live. Your other two song choices have been played live a lot. So Jumping Jack Flash is pretty much in every show. I count 1,202 times. Paint It Black 423 times. But I found an interesting statistic. According to my records, which I think are reasonably accurate, I'm not saying they're 100%, but let's say they're like 98, 99% accurate. How many times do you think that Jumping Jack Flash was not played in the same show when Paint It Black was played? Let me repeat that, because that was a bit complicated. Every time Paint It Black was played in a concert, how many times do you think Jumping Jack Flash was not played in that same show?
Cannot be many. I mean, not counting the shows where Jumping Jack Flash didn't exist. I would guess that in the past decades, when Paint It Black was played, it must have been almost every show that also Jumping Jack Flash has been played.
I'm not going to say it's a trick question, but it almost is a trick question. It was in Paris. It obviously wasn't in that Paris show you were talking about. It was on the Paris show on Valentine's Day 2014 at Planet Live in Bondy. Now, I say almost a trick question because only 27 people went to that concert, according to the records. But it was a show. They did play a set. There were 11 songs played. One of them was Paint It Black, but one of them was not Jumping Jack Flash. And in my records, that's the only time when that pairing didn't come together, when Paint It Black was played.
You mean in the rehearsal room?
Yeah, exactly that.
Where
Yeah,
they let in some fans who were outside on the street.
Exactly. So you couldn't buy a ticket.
Yeah,
but fans were present. The Stones played a set. It counts in my database as an official show, but only 27 privileged people were lucky to be there.
Yeah, I know some of them.
Yeah, we all know some of them.
Yeah.
What an experience that must have been. I wasn't one of them. Were you one of them?
No, I wasn't hanging around there.
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a reward for, in some people's cases, literally hanging around for years. Neil, what is next for you on this crazy Stones journey? Any plans?
If they plan to do another tour or some concerts, I have to go, because I have to see the last concert. I've been saying that for a long time. I have to see the last concert, and actually, I always planned to see the last concert of any tour. Also, the last tour in America, I traveled 3 times. I went to 2 Chicago shows, then to the Las Vegas show, and then Santa Clara was supposed to be the last show, and I went to Santa Clara. And then somebody with a lot of money put the money on the table and said there's going to be a very last show somewhere in the middle of nowhere. and that wasn't possible for me to go there then on short notice. Yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, if there is a tour, I will go, and I will finish my hobby. I'll do this till it ends, and it will end one day. We know that.
Yeah, it will. I mean, obviously, the end is closer than the beginning. We hope it's still got a good few years left, but it will end. Of course, it will end,
Yeah.
and that'll be a sad moment.
Well, a sad moment was already when Charlie passed away.
Yeah.
I remember being in Riga at that day, and a friend from London texted me, and I hadn't read anything in the news. Yeah, I heard it from him, and yeah, was.
When you got that message, did you think at that moment maybe that's the end?
I think that could be a possible. There could be a possibility. Yeah, that's the end. But when
Steve Jordan had already been announced for that tour, which
yeah,
I think was the thing that made the difference. If it hadn't been the case, if Charlie was expected to do that tour and then he died, I think that could have been the end. But the fact that Steve Jordan had already been announced is maybe what made the difference that they're still playing now.
it was probably complicated or difficult to cancel the tour then. But I mean, they are musicians. That is all they have done all their lives. They haven't learned anything else, and they continue to play music. Announced another U.S. stadium tour, and I thought, another U.S. stadium tour. I'm not sure I want to go, and hadn't made plans for a long time until they announced again a very last show, which was then not in a big stadium, but it was in a small venue in Hollywood, Florida, in the Hard Rock Cafe, in this amphitheater thing. And I thought, oh, wow, small venue. I have to go there. And I did. And second row, center, top spot. I did not regret that I went.
Oh, interesting. That's not what other people have told me. Not about you, but about their experience at that show, which was they didn't like that concert at all.
Well, Keith was, I don't know what other people have told you, but I remember Keith not being in a good state for the first half of the show. The way he walked onto the stage, and I mean, we were close. It was a low stage. There was no a large gap between the first row and the stage, and we could see everything. And I was watching him, and he was kind of not there, but he got through it, as he has done many times in the past. And yeah.
Okay, well, Neil, let's think this through. Your scarf has been on the stage. You've been mentioned in interviews. You cancelled on a president. What else? You've earned the right to answer this next question. What is the one thing that you would like the band to do differently? Let me ask it a different way. What has annoyed you as a Rolling Stones fan over the years?
Well, different things, like sometimes they are not well rehearsed, if there have been large gaps between tours, every professional musician, be it a violin player, a piano player, rehearses every day for a couple of hours. Yeah. The Stones, of course, they rehearse before tours for 3 or 4 weeks or so. But sometimes you have the feeling that has not been enough because they don't rehearse or play in their everyday lives. Has been annoying sometimes, yes. But that is not the answer to your question. I mean, every answer would be probably only a stupid answer. What would I want to?
No, I think it's a perfectly valid answer that, in your opinion, as professional musicians, they could practice more. Not just before the tour, but it's part of their life. They could do it every day.
Yeah.
I think that's a gentle one, a gentle criticism, because they're not that bad, right? They kind of know how to play those tunes almost in their sleep. Do you think that where your criticism comes from, if they practice more in their day-to-day life, it would open up the possibility of us hearing a wider set list?
I don't know. Well, the set list thing would have been the other criticism I would have liked to change, yes. But I don't know if practicing would change it, because the set list is mostly in Mick Jagger's mind, having to choose many songs that not we want to hear, but 99% of the other ones want to hear. Yeah, you have to have those greatest hits in the set list, and of course we would like to hear different songs every night, but we're not gonna get those except for when we go to the next club show.
So let's leave it at that. The Rolling Stones, please, we want more club shows. Whatever you do next, if there is live performance ahead of us, we would really appreciate if you could do some live shows in clubs, in smaller venues, with a mixed up set list.
Sure.
That's what we want.
We want.
On that, I'm going to ask you my final question, which is, what has it meant for you to be a Rolling Stones fan? Did it change your life?
I guess so. They have been around. I have been all my life. The Stones came together in 1962, and I was born in 1962, by the way, on Keith's birthday. And yeah, I've been with them all the time. I've enjoyed traveling and going to their shows, and has been a large part of my life, with gaps, of course.
Do you give the same level of attention to any other band?
Well, there are other bands I've seen more than once, of course, but no other band. The numbers don't come close to no other band, no. And I did grow up, of course, in the 70s, also with all kinds of music. We were listening to all punk and the new wave thing, but the Stones were persistent. That stayed all through all my life.
The Rolling Stones t-shirt that has established 1962 perfectly fits you, doesn't it? And your story. Born the same year. Became a lifelong Stones fan.
Yeah.
Nice coincidence. Before you go.
Year.
Pardon?
It was a good year.
It was a good year. A vintage year. We can definitely agree on that. Absolutely 100% yes. Before you go. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with this part of the show. We have a thing called the virtual Room 1009 Museum, and I'm asking each of my guests to donate something, a virtual something, to the museum. So you're not going to send me anything. Just want to be clear on that. What would it be, Neil? What do you want to put in the virtual museum?
I had a shirt made. Somebody made a shirt for me and gave it to my birthday, and I have it here. This is the Latvian colors, the Latvian flag.
Nice.
On the front.
Very nice. Yeah. We're back to the single white stripe on the front.
On the back of the shirt.
That's your scarf.
Yes.
Well, then we need a picture of that same scarf appearing in, where did you say it was? In Malaysia, Indonesia. Where did you say? Singapore.
Singapore.
Yeah. That would be a welcome addition to the Room 1009 Museum. Thank you very much, Neil. It's been wonderful speaking to you. Haven't seen you for a good few years. Probably must have bumped into you some point in London or European tour in 2022, because that's when I last saw them. But hopefully there will be more to come, and I look forward to bumping into you again.
Okay, sure, definitely. Thanks for having me. And
no, the thanks are all mine. Really appreciate it. You gave up your time. It's fantastic to hear your lived Stones experience, Neil. So thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see you soon.